Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're taking a truly mind-bending journey into a foundational, thought-provoking paper by Dr. Ahmad Rehan. This isn't just another dry look at complex physics. It's a proposal that literally attempts to redefine the very fabric of reality, and it does so by rethinking something incredibly basic. We're going to explore what actually happens when we take a fundamental symbol of math and physics and elevate it to a full-blown geometrical principle. Let's get into it.
So let's dive right in by challenging a mathematical symbol we all learned back in grade school. Just a simple dash, the minus sign. Yeah, the very thing that probably ruined half your math grades in high school. We use it every single day, right? To denote debt, removal, or just a direction pointing backwards. But we really have to ask ourselves, does this basic symbol hide a much deeper geometric truth? I mean, what if the minus sign isn't just a ledger entry, but actually a portal into a totally hidden dimension of physics?
Notice how this totally shifts our entire perspective. The standard view tells us that a minus sign just means an opposite direction on a one-dimensional straight line, or, basic subtraction. But the new proposal from Dr. Rehan suggests that a minus sign is actually a 180-degree phase rotation in the complex plane. We're moving from this rigid one-dimensional backwards jump to a smooth two-dimensional continuous turn. Really think about that for a second. Opposition literally becomes rotation.
Section 1. The minus sign mystery.
To really grasp the weight of this new framework, let's look at how physics has historically treated this basic symbol and why it matters so much to our understanding of the universe. If you look at the fundamental laws of nature, negative signs absolutely permeate the fabric of physical law. But for centuries, physicists just kind of accepted the minus sign for convenience. It was a pragmatic tool. We used it to encode whether magnets were attracting or repelling, to show action and reaction in mechanics, or even just to establish directional conventions in vector calculus. It was entirely a choice of convenience, chosen without any deeper ontological commitment. Basically, no one stopped to ask if that little dash had a physical, geometric origin of its own. It was just assumed to be a rule of the road.
Section 2. Euler's rotational magic. Now, when we introduce one of the most famous and profound equations in all of mathematics, that pragmatic convention gets completely turned on its head. Dr. Rehan's methodology to uncover this hidden geometry is elegantly simple. Step 1. Take any physical law containing a negative sign, let's just call the term negative a, and explicitly rewrite it as -1 multiplied by a. Step 2. Take that explicit -1 and substitute it with Euler's exponential representation, e to the I pi. And that's it. That is the entire mechanical engine of this theory, transforming physical laws through explicit multiplication and Euler's exponential substitution. So the crucial point here is that this substitution relies heavily on Euler's identity. By rearranging it, we can clearly see that e to the I pi is exactly equal to -1. But replacing -1 with e to the I pi isn't just some clever numerical trick. It's actually a phase-theoretic elevation. In polar form, multiplying by this complex exponential rotates a number by pi radians, or exactly 180 degrees. Therefore, every single negative sign in physics can be geometrically embedded into a continuous rotational manifold. It's like finding a hidden dimension in plain sight.
Section 3. Rewriting classical physics laws.
Now that we've got our new rotational rulebook established, let's go ahead and apply it to the heavyweights of classical physics. We're going to take the bedrock equations that govern our everyday world and see exactly what happens when opposition becomes rotation. Just look at Newton's third law. The old interpretation was simple action and reaction opposition. You push the wall, it pushes back in a straight line. But the new rotational interpretation views these as equal vectors with a pi phase shift. In gravitational force, inherent attraction is now beautifully mapped as a 180-degree rotation relative to a repulsive reference frame. And over in electromagnetism, Faraday's law of induction changes from a simple negative rate of change into a magnetic field derivative that is explicitly rotated by pi. Across mechanics and electromagnetism, these rigid oppositional forces are completely unified as beautiful, continuous rotational shifts. Absolutely incredible.
Looking a bit closer at Faraday's law of induction, in complex notation, this pi rotation corresponds exactly to a half-cycle delay. And when you combine that with Ampere's law, this perfectly matches the observed 90-degree phase lag between electric and magnetic fields in an electromagnetic wave. This rotational interpretation even models wave propagation itself as cumulative phase rotations. The source material points out that this fascinating insight actually predicts enhanced coherence in metamaterials that are engineered with deliberate pi phase elements. It's a real game-changer for how we think about waves.
Section 4. From fluids to the cosmos.
This concept doesn't just stop at classical mechanics and basic electromagnetism.
Scaling this up to chaotic fluids and the absolute fabric of the universe itself, an entirely new perspective on water and air emerges when we apply this to the incompressible Navier-Stokes equations. Pressure gradients now enforce instantaneous 180-degree oppositions to maintain incompressibility. Laminar smooth fluid flow simply preserves phase coherence. But what about turbulence? Turbulence is notoriously one of the hardest problems in all of physics. Under this framework, turbulence is no longer just chaotic noise. It actually emerges as a symmetry-breaking phase transition where nonlinear interactions scramble the underlying phases. Even the famous Kolmogorov negative 5/3 spectrum of turbulence is reframed as energy cascading through successive pi/2 rotations.
Taking this all the way to general relativity, well, the results are truly staggering. By substituting the minus sign in the trace term of the Einstein tensor with e to the I pi, the equations are left numerically invariant, but entirely new theoretical features unlock. In the extreme wild environments of black hole interiors, this substitution introduces complex horizons. The imaginary components created by this rotation offer a totally mind-bending holographic pathway to regularize or essentially smooth out the infinite density of black hole singularities through a process of phase cancellation.
The broader cosmic implications of this substitution touch some of the greatest mysteries of our time. The cosmological constant, which is often associated with dark energy, is beautifully reframed as a global, cumulative cosmic phase drift. Over in the realm of quantum gravity, area operators acquire smoothing phase factors. We're actually seeing hints of a grand unification here, as gravity and electromagnetism are shown to share common phase origins. The source even suggests that this framework points toward brand new interference experiments, specifically designed to detect imaginary phase residuals and macroscopic forces. Really, it's an open invitation to test this rotational theory right in the lab.
Section 5. A new mathematical reality. As we step back and appreciate the profound philosophical beauty of what this simple mathematical substitution reveals, I absolutely love this quote from the source material. By elevating negative signs to e to the I pi, we discover physics not as isolated scalars and vectors, but as a symphony of rotations. This incredibly poetic realization proves that what we once thought was mere mathematical convention, just a pragmatic choice for convenience, is actually a continuous, geometric harmony operating in the complex plane. It unifies rigid opposition into a grand cosmic dance.
Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep wondering and definitely keep looking for the hidden rotations in your world. As we've seen today, the elegance of Euler's identity truly permeates every single law of nature, waiting quietly in plain sight, transforming a simple minus sign into a literal gateway to the stars. So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. The next time you balance a checkbook, write out a math equation, or even just see a little dash on a page, how will you view the fabric of reality differently?